Welcome to Live, Work, Stay with Billy Kay. We're turning it upside down today because I'm going to run for re-election and will announce soon. And so I thought that instead of me interviewing someone, I'd bring on Mark Schaefer. Mark is an Emmy Award-winning newscaster and the features editor for Lowcountry Weekly. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live, Work, Stay with Billy Kay. Today we're turning the show a little upside down because instead of doing the interviewing, I have with me Mark Schaefer, who's an Emmy Award-winning newscaster and now the features editor for Lowcountry Today. Welcome, Mark.
Oh, thank you very much, Billy.
The show is yours, man.
The show is mine? All right, again. Okay. Why run again? This is it. This is official.
Well,
third term.
On Tuesday night, we set the election date. Wednesday we file, and it's open until the 15th. You know, I've had the great fortune of being in the state legislature, on city council, and now mayor for 8 years. There's no higher honor than be the mayor of one's hometown. I inherited a lot of projects, and some are not yet complete. And so I want to spend the next 4 years completing Boundary Street, completing the day dock renovations at the marina, the mooring field, the south side sidewalks and park, number of projects. And I just felt that I didn't want to leave with unfinished business.
Sure, unfinished business is a big deal. So if you're lucky enough to be the mayor of your hometown, some would say that would be a curse in some way.
Some say it's a curse. Some think I'm nuts. But I absolutely love it. You know, being mayor, you get paid $6,000 a year, and your statutory legal responsibility is to chair 2 meetings a month. So I take about 20% of my time to do what the mayor is supposed to do. But I see the 80% of my time, since I do it full time, is giving me an opportunity to do things that I can do because I'm mayor. Not necessarily binding the citizens and the taxpayers to youth leadership, to supporting Santa Elena Museum, to supporting a Reconstruction Museum, to supporting the Pat Conroy Literary Center, to charging people up to vote for Candace Glover, to using the social media to promote Beaufort as the happiest southern town. So for me, it's a lifestyle. I love my hometown, and it's my way at this point in my life that I'm able to give back to it. Part-time job, full-time responsibility. That's exactly right.
To sum it up in a nutshell.
That's exactly right.
We landed on these shores about this, I think we met when you were running for the first time. And as soon as you got into office, bang, comes the recession.
Yeah.
Lovely. Nice timing.
That was very nice timing. The previous council had committed us to a large expenditure to build the new city hall and law enforcement center. Tried to slow it down, but the way the bonds were offered, we couldn't do that. So with a good finance staff, we basically cut in anticipation, knowing that I'd sold my real estate business, expecting the real estate bubble. And so we were lucky that we saw it coming. So we began to cut incrementally. And what it did was like it did families and businesses, it taught us how to live a little differently. We learned that by outsourcing some things, you know, for example, we outsourced a good bit of our lawn and park maintenance.
Right.
Why would you pay someone 12 months a year to mow the lawn when it only needs to be mowed 8 months a year? And so we outsourced, and we basically cut about 10% of our staff. Fortunately, most were early retirements. The garbage men who were displaced were all given jobs or offered jobs with Waste Pro. And so we really skinnied down. And then the question is, if you don't have money to spend, you can't do the projects you want, what do you do? So we went into a phase of very deep planning and saying, what could Beaufort look like in the next 100 years? And we spent, with some of our savings, the first year, because it wasn't as bad as we anticipated, doing some really extensive planning. We looked at every neighborhood, we looked at every block, we looked at every lot, and we said, what could we do? You know, some would say we spent too much on planning. And I would say that many years ago, the city lost $1 million in a lawsuit because they didn't realize that there was a non-conforming piece of property. They permitted an apartment complex right in the middle of a neighborhood The neighborhood went crazy, as they should have. I was one of the neighbors.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the developer sued the city. It cost them $1 million. So when we look at planning, we're able to look at what's here. Does it fit today, and what can it be tomorrow? Now, we're in the process of writing a code, which is a little more difficult, because a code concretizes, puts in concrete
Right.
the way you accomplish what's your civic master plan. And, you know, it's very funny when you go to planning meetings in charrettes, everybody claps, says, boy, wow, I'm excited. They race up to the front and they look at all the pictures. And if it involves their house,
Right.
their block, their neighborhood, oh my God, how can we live with this? You're gonna ruin it. Others say it's fine. So when you get to the code where the rubber hits the road, we're being very cautious and very slow. And while we had hoped to have it finished in the spring, I think it'll be next year, if not longer, because there's no point in having a code designed to make things easier, more transparent, more predictable for property owners
Right.
than to have a code they don't buy into. So we're going to slow that process down.
There's so many special challenges in a historic town.
In a historic town, you're right. You know, it is very popular in the demographics of real estate. People want to live in smaller cottages on smaller lots with less land. They want to park down the street. They want to know their neighbors. But when you take a form-based code, which was typically developed for greenfield development, for raw land, and then you impose it upon an environment where you already have your established. So when we went into it, I thought, first, let's not call it the form-based code, let's call it the Buford Code, because it's going to be based on what's here on the ground. Our neighborhoods are going to be changed, transformed to be very different? No. But we know what we have, and then how do we fit? Because we have about 40% of the downtown that through fires, through decay, through demolitions, that's vacant land. So how
A lot
do we,
less than there used to be, though, at this point.
less than there used to be, because in the last year we've seen a lot of construction, but a lot more than there was when I was a child.
Sure.
Because most of those lots had houses on it and people living in it. You know, the city's population has declined. Our per capita income, family income, has declined. We're losing 18 to 44-year-olds at the rate of about 25% through the census period. So we have to focus on building a city that will attract young people, which leads us to probably the cities and the counties and the region's biggest challenge.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in the next segment, but let's continue to look back at the first two terms. Promoting that civic master plan was a big deal. We heard about that a lot. Do you think you really got the word out the way it needed to be done?
I think we did. You know, there are some people who become interested in these things and others don't. You know, sometimes people wake up to things. The best example is the Boundary Street Plan.
Yep.
Been in the works for 15 years, been planned for 11.
And all of a sudden,
and
wow.
Now people are saying, what are you doing? Why are you ruining my quality of life? Why are you destroying our city? So the point is, as hard as we tried to have meetings in every neighborhood, have big meetings, small meetings, one-on-one meetings, neighborhood meetings, as much as we reached out, we could only reach so many people. But I think it is certainly more inclusive than any planning that's ever done before.
Yeah. You've also dealt with, to say the least, a quirky legislature.
Oh, do we have a quirky legislature? That we could do a whole. We could
use a few other words too.
I was one of them. I
Yep,
served
sure.
2 years and came home. I declared victory from Columbia and said, I want to go and be involved in local government, which is I ran for city council, because local government is where the rubber hits the road. I wish legislators, I wish congressmen and senators and cabinet members had all been mayors, because this is where things happen. You know, someone calls about a pothole, and we know there are lots of potholes. So DOT and legislators say, well, more potholes. The mayor says, I got to get that fixed. I got to try to get it fixed today, because I know to that person, it is a nagging problem that will ruin their day unless we can fix it. So local government where the rubber hits the road, where we've got to produce. Trash has to be picked up, sidewalks have to be clean, streets have to be passable, waterfront park, there's an expectation. So I get a little short with some of the legislators because I don't think they understand where the people are on the ground and what they need and what they want.
Okay. Got to take a break?
I think it's time to take a break. Man, you're taking over the show. We'll be back in just a minute with Live, Work, Stay with Billy Kay.